When Rasmimau Raymond was a little girl, her family emigrated from Cambodia.
My parents love plant and they live in Houston. They grow tropical Asian fruits and such and sell to the Asian store in Houston. Just, extra money. But I did everything not to be a plant person. So I took one plant class in college, field biology, and now I'm a botanist and a horticulturist.
These days, she's a Hays County master gardener. But when she and husband Matthew bought 25 acres of black gumbo clay in San Marcos, it wasn't the garden it is today.
In front of the property, the grass was taller than me, and I was deadly afraid of snakes. And there was no road, and I was just like, this is wrong. This is not what I want. I just started crying. And he's like, we can do this. And so here it is, 12 years later, we did it. We were so busy doing everything else that we feel like we haven't worked on the property. And then we look back at pictures, we go, we've done something here.
They've been quite busy since 2004, building the house themselves and starting a family. Katin and Kosal can already name every plant.
They're learning to identify plants when we go places, and we go to a botanic garden in San Antonio. They would say, Mom, this is whatever. For a discipline, they help us pull weed, but it's as a discipline, but it turned out to be too much fun. So now they look forward to pulling weed whenever they do something bad, and then they giggle about it.
For gardens around the house, they started with the soil.
We brought in 120 yards of compost, and we spread it all around the property with my husband's help with a bobcat, because I thought I can do it with a wheelbarrow. I was very wrong. I've always loved the English garden, cottage garden. I studied abroad in Europe, and when I was in Switzerland. There's just this beautiful garden. There's nothing, everything was mismatched. I'm sure there's a rule, but it didn't look like there was a rule. And I just loved it, and so I didn't want grass, and I just grew everything here and there.
She's also grown her wildlife population, thanks to around-the-clock annuals, perennials, and seeds.
My garden is for butterfly and hummingbirds. When I'm out here watering or playing in the evening and I hear hummingbird chasing each other, fighting for the nectar, my husband raised bees, and so there's lots of bees around here late on during the day. In the summertime, the great smiths, if you walk into the front door, you will be kissed by butterfly because the great smiths attract butterflies. And I have little girls who loves butterfly. I always have bouquets in my house. There's little bouquets everywhere because they love to just pick flowers and put in little jars. So they love the flowers and they love eating the fruit.
Her daughters will go to any heights for a quick snack in the family's food gardens.
It's just so neat. If they're hungry for something, they can just go outdoor and just find the food. And also I want to know where the food come from. That came from my yard, and I know I'm not using chemical. And I think kids will eat more stuff, vegetables and fruits, if they see where it comes from. And I plant stuff in the garden, like tomatoes, cherry tomatoes and such, because I have friends who said their kids don't eat tomatoes or peaches or whatever. So I said, well, let me have the kids, and then let's see what happens. So my girls would eat them, and then the other kids would eat them too.
The kids snag blackberries faster than the birds.
I think there are 6 varieties of peaches. There's plums. I especially love the grow stuff that, it might not work here, but I'm like, I have lands, let's just put it down. And the example is called Sweet Sunshine plums. And last season, there was so much plum that all the branches went to the ground. So we have to trim some this year.
She's even growing a white Texas ever-bearing fig from cuttings provided by Texas Extension horticulturists. Rasmi tucks in edible herbs everywhere, like rosemary, turmeric, and galangal.
They'll freeze up top in the wintertime, but they'll come right back when springtime comes. The Asian, I do a lot of herbs, like the Thai basil and lemongrass. Lemongrass, I use the leaf. You can just cut it and then roll it and put it in a bundle, and then put it in any brothy dish, and then when you're done, you throw it away. Or the stalks, you can cut it and grind them up real small, and then you put in your soup, and then you could just eat them.
Rasmi recycles plastic nursery pots and stock tanks to grow many of her food crops above ground. When they built their deck around the back, they used Trex composite made from recycled materials.
One day I asked my husband if he could just use the extra material to make me a bed, and I came home, there were arbors with beds around it.
Butterflies and bees head straight for the clamoring Mexican flame vine. In another spot, Razmie snags various discards to use as planters.
I use washer drum and dryer drum, and I just fill it with lots of compost, 2/3, sometimes 100% compost, and then some potting soil. But mostly it's just lots of compost and mulch, and I just plant it. And then I don't have to weed so much when you use that. I'm just recycling old stuff.
She also grows new funds with cuttings.
As a master gardener, we go and volunteer and do cuttings, and clean up yards and stuff like that for people. And if I see a plant I like or something, I just ask if I can have a cutting or two. And there is a rose that my husband and I went on vacation at the Andrew Jackson, the Hermitage in Tennessee. The horticulturist there was cleaning and cutting, pruning roses, and I asked if I can bring some cutting. We brought some, and it's chestnut rose, and now we have 3 growing around the property. I like when people tell me I can't grow something here, and then I said, you know what, the worst I'm going to do is lose a plant. So I just put it down, and most of the time they grow. And the eucalyptus, I was told you can't grow here in San Marcos, and then the purple orchid tree, you can't grow it either. It's fun. It's just to bring plant from somewhere, So it's like the kissing oak tree. It's a bur oak. Sam Houston, when he was running for governor, he came to San Marcos River, by the San Marcos River, and shake hands with his supporter and kiss a woman. And so they name it, the university named it that, the kissing oak. It's in the Texas history book. And the plant was dying, and so we went and got the acorn from it, so we plant it around our property too.
To water her plants, she gets help from 2 gravity-fed cisterns and deep tubs filled with goldfish to fend off mosquitoes. And along with eggs, she gets natural pest control thanks to the family's happy hens.
They eat the bugs and give me compost. And I don't have grasshoppers problem, nor do I have caterpillar problem, because they constantly, grasshopper or caterpillars, because they're constantly eating them when they're out in the evening fertilizing my garden. When we moved here 12 years ago, we couldn't find any worm, and now we have big, long nightcrawler. I have friends who come here just to take pictures and then they leave. I have friends who come here and call and said, hey, we're in your garden because we're really stressed out today, but we'll be gone by the time you get here. Life is good when I'm in the garden.